EURUSD, and we're going to be breaking down the price action for this past week, right? So you can see clearly from the weekly charts that it was a bullish week, right? The new week charts or candle is just printing out right here, and because this is Sunday night, so better late than never, right? You can see that we have been bearish and we just took out lows, a lot of lows, major lows right here. You can see right on this region down here. After sweeping out the lows here, we have been consolidating. We're not going anywhere. But then you can see price broke out of this consolidation. Then we'll drop down to the daily. Right. So price broke down or broke out of the consolidation. If I can just mark it out for you, you will see this is the region. So let's call it consolidation. Price broke out, closed back in the range, and you can see that it was a bullish move up until, and now we are currently in this daily fair value gap right here. So if price is to continue going bullish or bearish rather, it will be from here. This is the daily fair value gap. Price has gotten here already. So anyways, we're going to be talking about these candles here: Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and then Monday. So clearly you can see what happened. It was a bullish week in the market despite the overall structure being bearish. After we're taking out those major lows right here, consolidated, broke out of the consolidation a little bit, then went back into the range, went above the range and cleared out buy side liquidity resting above here. Now we're in a daily fair value gap. So on the 4-hour chart, we'll see the fractal of price, and then we can talk about the opportunities we've had. You can see it's a clear trend. It's a clear higher high, higher low. So if I take my tool here, the part tool, I think my network is having it. Okay. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and higher high. So many times you wish the market was like this, right? This is exactly what you see in the textbooks, and it was clear on this week. So let's see the opportunities that we would have gotten, those that we would have missed, and etc. etc. So this is Tuesday. So let's mark out this sweep first of all. So after sweeping these lows, you can see that is where the move started from. So let's name that sell liquidity. Then let's mark out the fair value gaps on the 4-hour chart, because that will also be the premise for the trades we take. So let's make out the 4-hour fair value gaps to be, let's say, green. Okay, you can take off this consolidation now. This is another fair value gap on the 4-hour. This is another fair value gap on the 4-hour. It didn't turn green, so I don't know why, but I guess this works too. And of course, this is another fair value gap on the 4-hour right here. However, this is when you talk about range, this is high in premium. So sometimes price might not return back to discount. So give you an entry like this, and this will be a trap, but it's still a 4-hour fair value gap in premium. You can see it's on the green side, the higher end of that range. All right, we can take it off though. Now on the 1-hour time frame, let's mark out our daily open. So this is Wednesday. All right. So the same thing you see on the 4-hour time frame is almost the same thing that is present here on the 1-hour, right? On the right of the bar, I can see some entries already. Okay, so Monday went down towards these lows. Tuesday, during the London session, cleared out the lows, and the price closed impulsively above. So there was no entry here, but this move, if you're looking at the higher time frame, you'll see that this is an impulsive break of structure above these highs. Call that an MSS. We have swept these lows, and looking at these range, you can see that we have trendline liquidity resting above here. this region down here up onto this place. So those were good targets, right? Let's call them liquidity. So those were good regions above these highs, above these highs, above these highs, and beyond. Those were good regions where one good target. So those were my targets basically. And you can see that Wednesday price formed the usual power of theory. Price opened here, went down, forming the wick of the bullish candle. This is the New York session, 7 to 10 o'clock, and you might get a nice little entry right here. Price broke above, and that was the trade for the day. Thursday, the same thing happened. Price opened, went below the opening price during the London session, tapped into a 4-hour fair value gap, which is also can be referred to a 1-hour fair value gap, and then broke above as usual. And the same pattern, the exact same pattern formed even on Friday. Price opened, although it went above during the London session, it came back down, and during the New York session, there was a sharp reversal from this region up to this region, taking out these external highs. So let's drop down to the entry time frame. Okay, you could have entered easily on the 1 hour time frame, right? Using an OTE from this low to this high. See, that's one entry, a snapper entry right here, and the second entry for the week would have been around here, from this low, right, to that high. And you can see that it was a clear entry. However, I don't think this is 2 arrow. You wouldn't have gotten 2 arrow here. So maybe perhaps you'll have held over the weekend or something. I don't recommend that because we can open with a gap. We never know what's going to happen during the weekend. So on the 15-minute time frame, let's look at the entry time frame and see what happened. So this is Monday, and see, nothing really clean right here. We just kept on going lower. Tuesday formed something clean, but there was no entry. Consolidation, you can see this is a consolidation during the London session, and then during the New York session, 7 o'clock, you can see that you started rallying up. Nothing exactly clean, but after this break of structure to the upside, we start looking for buys, right? At this point, Tuesday and Monday, we don't know what the market is doing. We might even still be expecting sales, but on Wednesday, perhaps thanks to FOMC or something, we could have gotten a buy. But before the FOMC news, this is a nice setup, right? So this is a 4-hour fair value gap. Remember, we marked it out before, and this is the London session. So you can see price opened, trickled its way down during the London session, and then broke structure impulsively. You can see a fair value gap right here. These are candles, consecutive candles. So this makes here a valid order block, and this is a nice entry, right, from this low to this high. And you can see that price came very close to stopping us out. So I always advise that you keep your stop loss below a swing low, right? So you never know what price can do. If you have kept your stop loss below this low, or maybe here, thinking that this fair value gap will hold, you would have been stopped out. So this is the first trade opportunity that I would have had, 2.11 arrow for these highs. And if you are targeted the overall candle or this high or the next one, you would have gotten more. So let's just say 2.2 arrow for this trade on this day. Oh, it was FOMC day as well, so I don't recommend holding because it was a buy. Yes, it could as well have been a sell, so it's better to be safe than sorry. So this is the first trade on Tuesday, very beautiful one. Then Wednesday, this is the 4-hour fair value gap we marked out before. Once again, price have tapped into the 4-hour fair value gap, and then what happened? You can see that we have had a change in the state of delivery. We're trickling down. Price tapped, broke structure above these highs. This is a break of structure or a market structure shift right here, and it sets the stage for you to put out your OTE. But you can see that in this case we didn't get an entry, because if we had used the OTE entry, we would have put the stop loss above here, then entry below here. Price didn't get to this region at all. It just tapped the fair value gap. So maybe perhaps those traders who enter via change the state of delivery, immediately price close above, they just enter the trade and execute it. Perhaps that would have been the best option. Let's see how big the stop loss would have been. 17 pip stop loss. Perhaps that would have been the better option. Yeah. So I don't think I would have gotten that entry right there because it's not my entry model. And you can see that nothing else presented itself. If price had tapped here and broke above these highs, above the CISD with this candle, perhaps I would have gotten this entry, but that didn't happen. So then on Friday, which is the last day, this is the 4 hour fair value gap that I marked out. That is the one in discount. The other one above was in premium. And you can see that price just dilly-dallied around here. Right? This is a consolidation, sweeping this high. Once again, early sellers were caught here. Other early sellers were also caught here. So those people on the wrong side of the market, a lot of liquidity resting above here got swept. Price channeled and went down, right? Possibly came down, tapped into this 4 hour fair value gap, and then reversed impulsively, going to the highs. Perhaps on the 5 minutes, we would have seen a nice, okay, nothing really nice here. So, yes, the trend was clear, but if you had waited on the lower time frame, we would have gotten far less opportunities than even trading the 1 hour time frame. It's crazy, really, but it's just the case because on the 15-minute time frame, trading per day, this is the only nice opportunity that we got right here. So, except we want to hold this one for God knows. I don't know how possible that is for a day trader. Perhaps a swing trader will have no problem doing that. But when the day trading space, we don't have that kind of what's the word? Patience, perhaps. Anyways, so that is the trade for today. That is the trade for the week and everything. Now, if we are to switch bearish from this region, like I said before, we are now tapping a daily fair value gap right here. And the only thing that's going to make me to switch my bias from bullish to bearish is, sorry about all this, okay. Now you can see that this is a clear trend line, right? So those trend line traders can see that we are in an uptrend. You can draw a trend line like this. Other traders will draw from here and target these lows and everything, all of that stuff. So if we can break the structure to the downside, so as price taps this daily fair value gap, if price does something like this, this would be a nice entry to continue the bearish trend, targeting these lows, right? For now, the low to break is the most recent lowest low, which is this. So if this low gets broken and anything happens, so we're looking for more sales, or we could just ignore everything and consolidate, right? Because this is a large expansion move, and usually after expansion you have consolidation, right? So you can see expansion downwards, consolidation right here, expansion upwards. You might have consolidation, maybe a sweep and then a break. Who knows what's going to happen this week? We're just going to be watching and we're going to stay reactive and not predictive, right? So very nice trading week on the higher time frame. 4 hour fair value gap right here, entry. That 4 hour fair value gap right here, entry. And then that would have been that for the week. Anyways, thank you for sticking with me to the end of this video. Please leave a like, subscribe, and remember to share. Have a nice trading week ahead. Styles out.